Solar system. Our solar system consists of 8 planets. So, how many planets are there in our solar system? 8. The nebula from which our solar system is supposed to have been formed started its collapse and core formation sometime 5 to 5.6 billion years ago, and the planets were formed about 4.6 billion years ago. See what happened? We know that our solar system, the sun and the planets, they are formed from a cloud, and the cloud is made up of gases and dust. This cloud of gases and dust is known as the nebula. So there was a nearby supernova explosion, and the shock waves traveling from the supernova explosion, it caused the collapse of the nebula, and this led to the formation of the sun and the planets orbiting it. Our solar system consists of the sun, the star, 8 planets, 63 moons, millions of smaller bodies like asteroids and comets, and huge quantity of dust grains and gases. So our solar system is made up of the sun, which is a star, the 8 planets, 63 moons, and smaller bodies like the asteroids, comets, dust grains and gases. Three. Out of the 8 planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars are called the inner planets. Why? As they lie between the sun and the belt of the asteroids. The other 4 planets are called the outer planets. Let us see. These are also known as the inner planets or the terrestrial planets. The planets of the inner circle, as they lie between the sun and the belt of the asteroids. First, let's understand what is an asteroid belt. See, asteroid belt is the region in the space that lies between Mars and Jupiter. And in this space, most of the asteroids, they are found. So now the inner planets or the planets of the inner circle, as they lie between the sun and the belt of asteroids, they are also known as the inner planets or the terrestrial planets. Now, why are they known as the terrestrial planets? They are known as the terrestrial planets because they are like Earth. In what sense? They are made up of rocks and metals, and they have a relatively very high density. The inner circle consists of 4 planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, and also they are smaller and they are denser bodies. And what about the outer planets? The planets of the outer circle, they are also known as the gas giant planets or the Jovian planets, planets of the outer circle or the outer planets. It means they are more like Jupiter. The outer circle comprises of 4 planets: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. And first of all, they have a very large size. And less dense materials. The presence of the materials is the materials which are present in these planets, they are very less dense, and it has a very thick atmosphere, and the atmosphere is mostly made up of hydrogen and helium. So if I ask you that why they have such a thick atmosphere, the answer is this, that they lie very far away from the sun. So the solar winds, they were not able to strip off or to remove the thick atmosphere of these planets. Jovian Alternatively, the first 4 are called terrestrial, meaning the Earth-like, as they are made up of rocks and metals, we have seen already, and they have relatively high densities. The rest 4 called the Jovian or the gas giant planets. Jovian means Jupiter-like. most of them are much larger than the terrestrial planets. We have already seen, and we have also seen the explanation why they are much larger than the terrestrial planets, and have thick atmosphere mostly made up of hydrogen and helium. The difference between the terrestrial and the Jovian planets. The terrestrial planets were formed in the close vicinity of the parent star, where it was too warm for the gases to condense to solid particles. Jovian planets were formed at a quite a distant location. See, the terrestrial planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, as you can see in the picture, they are quite close to the sun. So what happened, the heat of the sun, it did not let the gases to get condensed into solid particles, or the gases did not froze. And what happened with the Jovian planets like Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune, you can see they are quite far away from the sun, and due to less heat, the gases present, they froze or converted into solid particles. The solar winds were most intense near the sun, so it blew off lots of gas and dust from the terrestrial planets. The solar winds were not all that intense to cause similar removal of gases from the Jovian planets. See, we can see on the screen that terrestrial planets, they are quite near to the sun. So the solar winds, they were very active, or they were very significant over these terrestrial planets, and this was not the case with the Jovian planets, as they are quite far away from the sun. So what happened, the solar winds, we have studied this earlier also, the solar winds, they remove the thin atmosphere, they remove the atmosphere of these terrestrial planets, but it was not the case with the Jovian planets, as the sun is quite at a distant location from these planets. The terrestrial planets are smaller, and their lower gravity could not hold the escaping gases. Similarly, you can see, as compared to the Jovian planets, the terrestrial planets, they are quite smaller in size. As you can see on the screen, they are very small as compared to the Jovian planets. So the size is less, so the gravity was also less, and it was not enough for the gases and the gravity was not enough, it was not good enough to hold the gases. So all the gases escaped, and this was not the cases with the Jovian planets. You can see the size is larger than as compared to the terrestrial planets. So what happened? Larger size, larger gravity, and they were able to hold the gases.